and welcome to the Cozy Self-Discovery Podcast. Join me, Jenny, for some cozy chats about self-discovery and how discovering who you are can change your life like it's changed mine. Grab a drink and a blanket or whatever makes you feel nice and cozy, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Cozy Self-Discovery Podcast. I'm Jenny, your host, and we are here to learn a little bit more about self-discovery and, most importantly, how you approach the self-discovery journey once you decide that this is something that you're interested in looking into more or pursuing, or maybe you are ready to jump full on in with both feet and you are ready to get going. There are a couple things that I want to share with you today that will help you prepare for your self-discovery journey by just understanding that there are different ways to approach doing self-discovery work. And I think some ways are going to benefit you more than others. And also all around mindset and environment and conditions of doing this work is something that you should probably think about a little bit before you start jumping right into all of these deep exercises and doing shadow work and, stuff that could be quite intense for you. So you got to do a little bit of planning and preparation on the mindset and just the general understanding of what you're about to undergo when you get into the work. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I actually, if you're watching this, then this is an experiment. I'm recording myself recording the podcast today. Hello. I am in my home recording booth. I am a freelance voice artist, and I do a lot of the voiceover and narration for my e-learning that I design in my day job as an instructional designer, and I also record audiobooks. So I know a lot of the podcast girlies have these beautifully aesthetic home offices where they sit at their desks and podcast. But if I am going to be recording myself on camera while I record, then you're going to see me in my tiny little DIY homemade recording studio. It is not super aesthetic, but it is very good for my sound quality. And this is where I do all of my voiceover work. So what better place to record a podcast than the perfect environment for voice recording? So instead of sitting at my desk where I am, cozy and cute, I am here in my big, dark recording booth. I had to jump into the booth this afternoon because I just got back from a run and I'm feeling good. The dopamine is flowing and the endorphins are going, and I'm feeling energized and excited about what I am here to do today. And so that is the energy that I love to take into this type of work, into a podcast, because I hope that it comes through on the other end how passionate and excited I am to be talking about this stuff and how much it means to me personally. So so if I seem a little extra jazzed today, it's probably because I made myself go out and run 2 miles first so that I could be just feeling real good now that we are in the booth recording. That is what's making me feel cozy today. I'm feeling cozy because I'm happy with myself and feeling good from my run. And I think that can be cozy too. All right, so let's get started with our chat today. So approaching doing self-discovery work. So first off, you have to understand what self-discovery is. Very simply put, self-discovery is the desire to illuminate our true selves. And the importance of self-discovery is that when you can see and understand your individual nature, you can better determine your potential purpose and create opportunities in your life to help you act on the purpose and potential that you understand now that you have done some investigation is really unique and special to you. And you can make choices that are in alignment with those things. And the hope is that the pursuit of a life where you are actively choosing things that are better suited and aligned to your inner nature and potential will lead to better overall happiness and outcomes for you. And so I wanted to take some time today to go into how one should approach doing self-discovery work and the concept of using specific practices and methods to assist you in the process of illuminating your true self. And of course, there are so many different ways that you can do reflective work. So just know that I can't really provide an exhaustive list off the bat of like every single thing you could be doing that is considered self-discovery work, because there is no definitive process of self-discovery, as I have explained in previous episodes. But what I can help you with is learning more about the options and the ways in which you can approach self-discovery to ensure that you are structuring your pursuit in a manner that is going to be fruitful and not stressful and clueless. Because if you are stressed or clueless when going into this work, then you are not going to get far. And I guarantee you that you will give up and you will miss out on the positive changes that you could have created in your life if you had more information and a plan when you set out on the journey. So let's start with the fact that you should be trying to set your environment up for success before diving into the work. So talk with the people that you have close relationships with, for example, about what you are doing, why you're doing this. So that means talking to spouses or partners, maybe close families and friends, people who may start to notice changes or differences in the way that you're participating in things and wonder what's up with you. Hopefully they're supportive and they can understand where you're coming from in your work. I will definitely talk more in the future about different reactions that you might encounter while doing self-discovery work, but the hope is that if you are honest and open with the people in your life about why you might be making some changes, that they will be loving and understanding and supportive of you. So ensure, speaking still of the environment, that you have some time and some space in your life to start doing things like journaling or visualizing and reflective journaling practices, for example. Remember that also you are a reflection of the company you keep. So if you do have friends or media in your daily life that are influencing you in ways that don't feel supportive of your desires and reason for doing self-discovery, then maybe you should learn how to mute them or move on from them and choose to listen to and spend time with people that do inspire you and support you instead. And this goes for not just people in your life, but as I said, media can be a big part of it. So if you wake up every day and you turn on the news and you immediately are filled with fear and anxiety and people telling you what you should think and feel and what you should believe and all of the horrible things that are going on in the world, that is not going to put you in the right mindset to be doing this self-reflective work with an open heart. And if you are listening to music that's very aggressive or depressing, that might also not be the best thing to support you while you are trying to approach self-discovery, like I said, with an open heart and with real optimism for the future for you. So just things to think about. All right, so if you think also that you might need support while going through this process, then you can also find a counselor, a therapist, a coach, or a supportive friend who you can go to share what you're learning and thinking while you are going through this, or people who can give you direct guidance on the process. There are self-discovery coaches, there are therapists who will do this type of reflective work with you. So there are definitely people you can find who will be able to actually help guide you in the process as well. And as I talked about in the last episode, there are so many resources online on YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, I'm sure. There's tons of people who are talking about this. You just have to learn how to be discerning about the people who you are listening to and the advice that you're taking and the sources that you are interacting with. All right, so now that we've gone through some things about your environment, let's start with the other most important thing you need to work on before diving into self-discovery. And that would be the power of observation, because you cannot change anything that you have not first recognized needs to change. But it is also important to take stock of your life and be able to recognize the things that do feel good for you, the things that do make you feel alive or inspired or get lost in the effortless flow of it, things that you want to do and would do regardless of any benefit that you could produce from it. These things have a name that I think is just like a great word. I don't know. I just love this term. These things are called drifts. So drifts. I just love the word. I don't know. So I recommend starting early with a journaling session. If you are like me and you probably won't do something unless you have scheduled it and made it feel very important, which is an ADHD thing that I do, you can block an hour off in your office or your bedroom to work on it and record it on a Google Doc or Notion or wherever you like the information to go, so you can make it more of like an official thing, like you're sitting down to work for an hour. But the work you're doing is on yourself. Okay, so You could go through the process here of noting the activities and pastimes and habits and desires that you have that feel intrinsically good or easy or important to you. Now, I like to talk about the hum of a yes in your body. Like when I am really in the flow and I'm working on something that's one of my drifts and I'm really into it and I'm really in the flow, I get this feeling in my body and I describe it as like this humming of positive energy that is running through me. And that is what we're chasing here. So make sure that you know what gives you that hum. And it can be things that you're working on, but it can also be things that just really fulfill you in your personal life. Things like having a good run in the park, or baking with your kids on Saturday morning, or date nights with your sweetie, or volunteering at the retirement home, or solo traveling every couple of months. These all count, and they're all clues about the things that make your inner self happy. Now, you also have to turn this around and start investigating your life a little bit more for the things that are not drifts, that you still do or take part in, or have told yourself are important, especially the things that give you the opposite feeling. So anything that feels wrong, that you have a natural resistance to doing, you make yourself do one way even though it's killing you, that you can't do it another way, those things you need to be able to also identify them. So, for example, are you majoring in something that you're not excited about in school, but your parents told you it's what you needed a degree in to be successful? Or are you in a relationship that you feel deep down is just not right for you, but you feel pressure to stay in it? Or do you force yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. because your favorite productivity guru on TV said that's what all the successful people do, even though you hate it? And you hate everyone on days when you get up at 5 a.m. and you actually feel like shit when you do it. Or do you bake cookies for all of your kids' school bake sales, even though you're trying to get your freelance business off the ground and you'd rather be working on that, but you don't want to look like a bad mom? And also, oh, you actually hate baking and your kids don't seem to care one way or the other. Yet you still do it. How many examples can you think of to fill that page? I'm betting it's probably tons. And related to that last one, personally, I have checked out of all of the extra stuff that they expect moms to do for school. There was a time when I thought that I probably needed to be involved with the PTA, to volunteer, to hang out at the bus stop with the other parents and chat and chitsy chat so I looked like a normal, quote unquote, mom. But guess what? I hated it. Every facet of my personality dislikes small talk with people I don't know. Human design projector, hates it. ADHD, hates it. Multipotentialite, hates it. Scorpio rising, really, really hates it. So, yeah. Also, giving of my precious and limited time to bake cookies for other people's kids or sit in the corner of a gym selling popcorn with hundreds of screaming children running around me during field day? Could not hate it more. I have so many other things that I'm trying to do with my life, and I already feel like there are never enough hours in the day to do a fraction of what I want to do with my life. And I have a very busy, full, wonderful life outside of those things. And my son and I have a great relationship, and we spend tons of quality time together. So I asked myself, why am I doing these things? Do I want to do them? Do they add to my fulfillment in life? Do I feel like it gives me purpose to do them? Do I feel motivated in any way to do them by anything other than obligation and the fear of judgment from other parents and teachers? No. All no. All no. So I checked out. And I also took a minute to recognize that there are other people who probably do get purpose and excitement out of those things. Not everyone has as much going on as I do, I know. Not everyone hates small talk. Not everyone looks at these things as annoyances. And I feel perfectly fine with stepping aside to let those people have at it, and I will spend my precious time and energy on the things that are more in alignment for me. Simple as that. Will I win Mom of the Year awards at school? Nope, I will not, ever, and that's okay. I take care of what I need to in order for my son to be successful and happy, and that is what actually matters to me. He does not need his mom providing half the school with thumbprint cookies on a Thursday morning in order to be successful and happy. I think he'll be all right. And does he give a flying fuck if I hang around the bus stop chatting with the other moms after he leaves? Take a wild guess. The moment he steps on that bus, I am gone. I have things to do that actually matter to me. So for your list of nopes, do me a favor and please ask yourself, why are you doing these things? After you write down the first answer, write why again on the next line. And then answer that question too. You can ask why as many times as you need to in order to get to the meat of the issue. Like, why don't I like small talk? Well, I don't like small talk because it makes me uncomfortable, but also like when I look at what I desire out of relationships, I really like a deep connection with people. I really want to understand underneath everything what they think and feel and like their background and what their thoughts are about humanity and the universe. And I just want to have these really huge discussions with people. But that is not something that comes out of a chat at the bus stop with people that you've only met a couple times, or like you only see them, for 5 minutes in the morning and then you all say goodbye and go back to your lives. So why do I only like having really in-depth conversations? Well, I think part of that is part of my makeup. As I said, I'm a Scorpio rising. I have a stellium in my 12th house. There's a lot of things about me. I'm also a Sagittarius moon. Like I really like to get deep into things and understand them. And I really like to go way down deep into the unseen, into motives behind things, into things so deep and intense that other people usually are very uncomfortable by talking about that stuff. And so that usually turns a lot of people off. And so it can be hard for me to make those connections sometimes. And part of that also is because there are things in my childhood that I could go into about why I crave these type of relationships and interactions. And then I could probably go deeper than that. So just an example of you got to follow the why train to get to some deeper reasonings, right? But it doesn't always have to be that way. So in general, there are reasons why you do things that don't feel good to you. Sometimes the answer is profound. Like you could follow that why train and you could come to some earth-shattering realization about yourself that has affected your entire life and blast everything wide open for you to see your life in an entirely new light. Or there could just be a simple, practical answer and solution that you just haven't thought deep enough about to work out for yourself that could save you from having to do whatever those things are. So for me with the school stuff, sure, yes, as I just demonstrated, I could go deep into a well of information about who I am and why I don't like baking cookies for school or talking to parents. But if I want to just keep more surface level, I just don't enjoy those things. They aren't drifts for me. They don't give me purpose and they don't excite me or motivate me. So it's better if I find ways to sort of rearrange things so that I don't have to do them, or actually give myself permission not to do them just because I don't want to do them and they are not important to me. And I think even just that surface level thing, there's so many of us going around in our lives doing all of these things that we don't really care about, that we'd rather not be doing or spending our time on, but we will not give ourselves permission to stop doing them for some reason. And it's usually because we are doing them to please other people. And if you can at least identify that and be honest about it, bring it out into the open, then at least you can decide, is this something that I want to continue to do? Is it worth continuing to do it for whatever reason? Because it makes my parents happy or because it makes me look like I'm a good mom to the school. And then you can decide for yourself if you want to change your outlook on that, change some of your behavior or choices or habits so that you can start not doing it. And, it's just it can be as easy as that. It can be just as easy as making a decision oh, actually, it's okay if I just get in my car and drive away at the bus stop. It's that easy. I just say goodbye, see you guys later. And it can just be as easy as that. Or just it's easy as not signing up for PTA. That's actually less work. You just don't do a thing that you would otherwise do. So, yeah, but you need to know, right? So it's often the case that when people start asking these questions, they will start to see patterns come together around their drifts and also the other things, the ways in which they are ignoring their inner preferences and making choices to do things that they do not actually prefer. And, why we do it? As I said, there's a lot of answers to that, but suffice it to say, it is extremely common to let factors outside of ourselves influence our thoughts and behaviors and actions. And it can be really hard to look at these things, it's true, and finally recognize that we aren't doing them for the right reasons. especially when there doesn't seem to be another option. But getting to the place where we're poised to take inspired action to change these things is ultimately where the self-discovery journey is headed. So, again, with thinking about your approach to doing self-discovery, you're going to have to accept that not everything that you learn will help you in the immediate, in the now. Sometimes it's going to take a while before you see the benefits of those changes. And while you figure it out, you may be sitting with some really inconvenient truths about your life. But hopefully the information that you're gathering will help you slowly pivot little by little, choice by choice, until you are in a place to take whatever action is needed to leave that version of you that was not living in alignment with their inner self behind. And honestly, you might come to realizations that might take you years in order to implement the solution to. Or you might be able to make the decision to change something today. So the outcome of the journey is not going to be the same for a single person. And the journey doesn't end. It's a lifelong journey that you'll be on. And it's all about just making these little shifts and changes to slowly start living more in alignment and leave the things that are not in alignment with who you are and what makes you happy and motivated and passionate behind. But, the approach really is important to understand going into it, why you're doing it. Make sure that you're setting yourself up for success by thinking about your environment and your mindset. And you have to get ready to be very honest with yourself, to look at things with this observer's, approach, perspective. Think about taking a step behind yourself and looking over yourself at yourself and seeing yourself as an objective observer of your life. That I find to be really helpful sometimes. If this was someone else I was looking at who was doing these things, what would I say to them? If I knew that the things that they're doing and putting energy behind and making the decisions to do are not in their best interest or not aligned with who they are or do not actually make them happy or fulfilled, how would I view that if I was not that person, if I was just observing them? So, those are some of the ways that I think it's helpful to be considerate when you're approaching self-discovery work in terms of making sure that your environment is set up correctly, that you have support around you, that you are ready to be observant and be an observer of your life and be open to what you're going to learn through that process, even if some of it is not the easiest thing to digest or take action on. So that's actually all I'm going to cover in this podcast. I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet. Obviously, there's much more to dive into. So if you want to subscribe to the podcast, that would be great. So you can continue learning all about the self-discovery process. I'm going to be talking next about where to find all of these wonderful resources and practices that will help you with your journey. As I like to refer to them, these are the tools of self-discovery. So stay tuned for that coming up soon. All right, thank you for listening today. I hope you are nice and cozy wherever you are in the world. So wrap yourself up in a nice cozy blanket, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or wine, who knows? No judgment. And I'll talk to you again next time. This is Jenny. Thanks for listening. Bye.